Hello and welcome back to the Bobby and Beardy Show. It's the Halloween special Spook-Tacular. I'm Bobby, and this gentleman over here is McSpooky.
This gentleman over here is disappointed.
Hello, McSpooky. How the devil are you?
I am better and or worse now because of hearing that. I can't really decide.
Oh, dear.
Can I just say, by the way, that fits perfectly with the tagline of the film that we're reviewing. Do you know the tagline for this is "Be afraid, be kind of afraid"?
Well, can people figure out which film we're reviewing from that tagline? Because it's Halloween, it's the Halloween special. Are we reviewing a classic horror film? Scream, perhaps? Are we reviewing one that's come out recently? Terrifier 3? Heretic? Or any other spooky film? No, we're doing Scooby-Doo from 2002. That's right, baby.
The scariest film we could get Bobby to watch.
Listen.
Oh God.
They're hunting ghosts. It's the perfect thing. Anyway, I'm taking this off because it's annoying me. Oh dear, there are time codes below. Although because this is a classic review, it will mostly follow. As he tries to sort out his hair that's been ruined by a hat. It will mostly follow this. This is the intro. We're going to do the review, and then there's going to be an outro. Because it's mostly, we're not going to dance around spoilers. This film came out in the early 2000s, and it's Scooby-Doo, for Lord's sake. Would you like to hear the rundown, McBeardy? Or should I say McSpooky?
I would love to. McSpooky! Yes, please.
Perfect. Here you go, then. Scooby-Doo, released all the way back the very early 2000s of 2002, is a mystery adventure comedy horror film based on the long-running animated franchise of the same name. The film was directed by Roger Gosnell from a screenplay by James Gunn. Yes, that's right. That James Gunn. Head of DC, previously Guardians of the Galaxy, The Good Suicide Squad, and many more. Well, what was he doing back in 2002? Well, technically slightly before, because he would have had to write it. He didn't write. I don't know if you know this, Beardy. They don't write it. Well, sometimes they do, and that's why films are bad sometimes. They don't write it on set normally. He was doing Scooby-Doo, starring Freddie Prinze Jr., Sarah Michelle Gellar, Matthew Lillard, Linda Cardellini, and Rowan Atkinson, aka Mr. Bean. With Neil Fanning providing the voice of Scooby-Dooby-Doo. The film received generally negative reviews from critics, but has apparently, allegedly, amassed a cult following.
Yeah, definitely.
Runtime of 126 minutes, budget of 84 million, which is quite big for the time, but you know, they do have an animated dog the entire film, as well as other creepy crawlies and characters and whatnot. Worldwide box office of 276 million. So it did okay.
Yeah. I'd say that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Compared to the budget.
Yeah, it did better than the sequel, which resulted in them cancelling the third film. But
which I think the sequel is better.
I mean, you just watched them back to back because you're a lunatic.
I did. No.
Really
I am
remember.
a Scooby-Doo fiend. I love Scooby-Doo. I have pretty much all the films I could find. I watch all the episodes. I love it, and I will watch anything related to it. So when you said let's watch the first one, it's like, haha, you mean the first two?
As such a Scooby-Doo fan, why don't you let us know what the story is then?
Okay, so we start off with a Mystery Inc. They're doing pretty well. Everything's going together. They're working a case, which obviously for some reason includes Pamela Anderson, because why not?
One of my first notes is like, why is Pamela Anderson here? Oh, it's the early 2000s, of course, I understand.
Yeah, 100%. They're not gelling together properly anymore, so Velma, Fred, Daphne quit Mystery Inc. It leads to a very heartwarming Shaggy and Scooby feeling like friends don't leave, but these guys did. Anyway, cut forward 2 years later to one of my favourite scenes, which we'll discuss later. They all get individually invited to figure out what's happening on Spooky Island. I can't do the voices well as
Spooky Island.
Yes, which obviously has to be run by Rowan Atkinson, because when you think spooky, you think Rowan Atkinson.
I know I do.
Obviously, right?
Yeah.
I can. I honestly believe that in you, actually. Watching this to be like, oh, this is too much. Anyway, there's some weird goings on Spooky Island, and the gang get back together to figure out what's going on, and we will discuss what happened. All the goofs, all the fun, all the scares.
Oh, so many scares.
That's where we're at.
So many scares. Can we just talk about the opening really quickly before I give like my general thoughts and things?
Yes, please.
Because first of all, what kind of toy factory is this? There's like death traps and swinging and things burning.
Yeah.
And, oh my goodness, what toys are they making? There's some sick skateboard skills for
of course.
Shaggy.
It's the 2000s.
Who's in a barrel with Scooby on his head. Pamela Anderson is there. And then, right, I just need to point this out. The ghost guy, Old Man Jenkins or whoever, Smithers, is it? Is it Old Man Smithers, they say? I can't remember.
Old Man Smithers.
He has invented a ghost costume that would make him a billionaire. He's essentially invented flying without like a propeller or like any thrust. And
yep.
For like helium bags strapped to his body, and he can float and fly very convincingly. But instead of using that to make all that change, he instead used it to get revenge on Pamela Anderson, who turned him down on a date.
Now, this is the early 2000s, so that makes perfect sense.
Also, when they break up and they don't, because they're all unhappy because Fred keeps taking credit and like Daphne's sick of getting kidnapped and Elmer's plans are always being ignored and Shaggy's just there. Yep, yeah. They all march off like I'm going this way. I'm going this way. Where are they going?
Okay,
where are they going? They're just going to get lost in the woods or something. I'm scared for them. I just walk off like that.
Fred goes back to a car that he has, apparently. The other two I didn't actually see where they were going. But famously, the mystery machine is Fred's van. Why is he leaving it?
Well,
sorry, I will keep adding in stuff like this because big fan.
Well, Shaggy and Scoob keep the van, and they later on they're alluded to getting very high in the van, but they're just actually cooking in the van. So
they're toasting. They're getting toasted.
Yeah, but they're also toasting on the grill.
That's my point. It's very family friendly. I love it so much.
Oh, yeah. Right. So anyway, I just needed to point out those things about the opening before we continue.
Of course.
This film is dumb. It's stupid.
Agreed.
It is
can I
way too 2000s.
Yeah. Well, even down. So both the films, both the 2002 version with this has current artists of the time. I think it's Sugar Ray as the live band in this, and in the next one it's Big Brother, which they made 2 songs. So yeah. Through all of this, are we doing spoilers pretty much straight away? Did we discuss?
Yeah. Just let it rip. I gave the warning earlier.
Okay, cool. First thing I want to talk about with this is, it's a completely stupid film. It's a stupid premise. We'll get to the actual final twist a bit later on in a technical.
I don't know. It's like the second thing I wrote down is the big twist.
Okay. We'll go straight to it. Okay, you do that, and then I'll talk about my issues with it. So you go first.
Okay, yeah, right. So again, this film is way too 2000s. It's way too 2000s. I know it's 2002, but could you just dial it back a bit, please, movie? Good grief, this film is obviously terrible. However, any film that has the audacity and genius to cast Scrappy-Doo as the ultimate villain is 10 out of 10. Because I hate Scrappy-Doo. It used to syndicated television here in the UK when I was a child growing up, when you were a child growing up. That was Scooby-Doo was on all the time. And I remember whenever they'd get to the seasons and series which had Scrappy-Doo or any of his stupid cousins for that matter, I hated them. So the fact that Scrappy-Doo is the villain is genius. Chef's kiss.
Completely agree. Now, for people who haven't seen this film, and it's been 22 years, why haven't you seen it? basically what's happened is Scrappy was a bit too over the top for the gang, so they kick him out. He wants revenge, so what he wants to do is steal the souls of college students who want to party in this island that Bobby thought was what did you class it as? What do you think?
It's a shag island, isn't it?
I don't think this at all.
It's a party island. They are all 100% going there to get high, get drunk, and have sex. And the fact that you can't see that says more about you than it does about me.
Oh, I'm just so innocent. Completely. Anyway, the point is that Scrappy wants to collect the souls of these college students to power himself up for some reason. And this fits into a trope in Scooby-Doo that I'm not actually a big fan of. I don't like when the creatures are real, when the magic is real. I prefer the unmasking. Now, this happens in some of the better films. Zombie Island is one of them. It first happened in one of the episodes, which I think was something like Escape to The Mystery in Persia, sorry. There's a lot of times where it happens. They've got real genies, like say the real zombies, but I just don't think it's as good as the unmasking. I liked the fact that it's always explained away.
Yes, I 100% agree. Real monsters, real witchcraft and wizardry and voodoo and all of that stuff does not work in my Scooby-Doo. Like, going to a different franchise entirely, the first Sherlock Holmes film with Robert Downey Jr., the entire film is about the guy who has magic powers. He's a member of the occult, and he's scaring the lords and parliamentarians of London and stuff. And then in the end, it all gets like explained and understood, and like, this is how he did this bit, this is how he set that person on fire or something. I think he does that at some point, and how he drugs people to see things, etc., 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 yada yada. And it's so good. And and other films do that as well, but in this one, it's like you get that in the start with Old Man Smithers with like trying to haunt Pamela Anderson, and then it's like, okay, now for the rest of the series, this is actually all real.
Yeah, it doesn't need to happen. Like I say, it could be explained away. Really smarter films do it. And again, I'm not attacking this film. I love this film. It's a Scooby-Doo franchise. I will love it. I have to. But they could have explained it away very, very dumb. They have this tendency of whenever they're explaining something, they only explain it once they figure it, like, I say obviously once they figure it out, but it's like, and they're going to unmask this guy and they say, oh, of course it was all along. They unmask him and then say it. Like, you're not proving anything if you just unmasked it. Of course you know who it is. Like, yeah. It bothers me. And they could have done the same sort of dumb stuff with this. And I just don't like the fact that it was real and nothing was explained. Like, why does this exist? That's now the world is terrifying. I totally understand why Shaggy and Scooby are terrified of everything.
Why did Shaggy and Scooby rejoin the gang? Because ghosts and things have just been proven right to them. I would be, if anything, I'd be even more out than before. But yeah, it could be explained a different way. It could be, drugged, the punch, or just a big old cult, or indoctrination, or like brainwashing, or anything. But no, it's actual real demons inhabiting bodies, things like that. And I must admit, it's not what I want from the Scooby-Doobers.
Yeah, I think the better episode. I think I will defend Zombie Island, the animated film where one of the first ones where things are real. It's actually really well done in that, and they kind of explain it away in a very specific way, and it's very localized. This it can only happen here, and that is fine. But yeah, with this, it didn't sit well, and I want to put that down as pretty much my only negative for this. There's some dumb stuff in this, but it's supposed to be a dumb franchise. As I've kind of attacked it, I want to defend it for a little bit now. Mm-hmm. The casting is spectacular, I think, for this. No, you're going to disagree on some things, and we'll get around to it. But firstly, you cannot argue Matthew Lillard as Shaggy is perfect.
Matthew Lillard to the extent is incredible.
Yes, to the extent where he took over from Casey Kasem as the voice in the animated afterwards.
Requested to take over.
Yes.
By him.
Yes, he did perfectly. I think some of the stuff with Freddie Prinze Jr. as Fred isn't outstanding. The look at the very beginning doesn't really work well. I think they've played him down to be a lot dumber than he is in a lot of the animated cartoon series, but then they do that with Shaggy as well. Shaggy is supposed to be one of the best gymnasts at their school, which also, how old are these people? Sarah Michelle Gellar, I think, in Daphne, not a bad cast. I think a lot of her costuming could have been done better. I think Linda Cardellini is quite good as Velma, actually.
Yeah, my notes for all the main cast are Matthew Lillard is incredible. I don't really like Freddie Prinze Jr. or Sarah Michelle Gellar. as Fred or Daphne, but Linda Cardellini is okay as Velma. But it's Lillard's doing the heavy lifting. Sorry.
100%. I absolutely, again, I'm a big fan of his. I follow him on a lot of like social media and stuff. He's got a new company where I just bought one of his board games. They do alcohol for D&D. Very big fan. Look up his stuff. I will not. Again, I'll gush towards him as well. If he wants to do a collab with us, that's absolutely fine.
I'm sure we're top of the list.
There are some weird stuff. So Isla Fisher is in this, which she looks very not Isla Fisher, but I guess that was 20 years ago. So there. It leads to one of my favourite lines. There's some brilliant lines in this film, and one of my favourites is when she gets onto the plane. She wants to sit down. She mentions that her name is Mary Jane, and Shaggy is just like, "That's my favourite name," because of obviously the drug reference. Very funny. Goes over kids' heads. Very funny to adults. I quite like that. It's the sort of comedy that these films need.
Yeah,
I think she plays it well as well.
Yeah, she's the love interest for Shaggy in the film, and Shaggy's led by his boner rather than anything else, and that gets between Scooby and himself. And Scooby later on realizes that she's been possessed as well, and but Shaggy doesn't believe it, he's distracted by boobs and etc. But eventually, power of friendship wins out, and that's some good stuff.
Of course.
I will say the fact that this is the first film where Fred and Daphne are actually a couple or become a couple at the end. They share a big smooch. Shaggy's got his love interest, and they also give Velma a love interest who she interacts with twice. Once just standing next to, and one they have a conversation. They have a conversation at the bar, and then they have like a at the end. Why is this? Why is this here? What's happening? It feels a bit forced and pointless and stupid. If I'm just allowed to say some of the things I really did enjoy, there's a lot of decent references to the cartoon in general. You've got the running in the barrel, Shaggy is the legs, Scooby is the head. That's classic stuff. You've got at one point they find themselves trapped in an old theme park roller coaster ride thing. And they end up dressing up in the mannequin display of like a Knights of the Round Table or something and standing there doing the still pose while the bad guys are mere centimeters from them having a discussion. That's funny. Mm-hmm. And then you've got the classic Scooby trope of distracting a monster. Doesn't go the full hog because in the cartoons, like he'd have like a full costume. Like the monster would like run into a room and he'd like be dressed as like a masseuse or something and like instruct the monster to lie down and start doing the shoulders and things. But, in this occasion, he like starts doing a bit of manicuring of the nails, and it's good, stupid stuff. It lets you go, oh yeah, this is Scooby-Doo. This is not actually a real universe. It's complete nonsense, and it's quite fun. So I think they did that quite well. I do think there's some hit and miss jokes. There's a very long fart joke scene, which is a bit.
Which, to be fair, the animated series doesn't really ever do that. I wasn't a big fan of that.
Fart jokes wouldn't have been the thing at the time. Like that wouldn't have been the humor on television back then. But there are some really funny jokes and just side comments. Like they just kind of just move on. Like Velma saying, "The only thing here we're missing is a mindless zombie," and then Fred immediately enters the scene. And there's a very funny joke. It's the best joke of the film. Genuinely cracked me up. Earlier on, it's set up. Somebody wants to speak to Scooby-Doo. The guy at the bar is going, "I'm looking for a Mr. Doo." And a guy called Melvin Doo stands up and he's like, "Oh, me?" And he's like, "No, Scooby." And then later on, Scooby-Doo's going to be the sacrifice. And he's like, "Me? Don't you mean Melvin Doo?" Very good.
There are some other great jokes. Again, it's not from the main gang or anything, but there's a point where Daphne's trying to figure out the case when they're doing their own thing. She goes to the voodoo guy sacrificing already dead chicken. She says she's looking for a clue, and he goes, "I can give you a clue. You're wearing purple. Purple's a fall colour. It's May." Dumb joke. Loved it so much.
Yeah. Zarkos and Engo Tuana are the kind of main suspects, henchman-y type characters. They're just very fun. They're very camp. Classic. They're, chewing the scenery. Great stuff.
Yeah, again, that kind of leads to like, you can't eat this, it's plastic. Well, you drink out the toilet, so do you. Again, stupid stuff with the Shaggy and Scooby-Doo relationship. I honestly think that the heavy lifting is done by that pair.
Oh,
like, it really
100%. And Lillard is acting against nothing as well at the time, so he's doing a great job.
Yes.
That happens in the scene where they're trapped on the roller coaster ride that's been condemned, and for some reason that like the big swinging axes are. I mean, there was that guy. He could have triggered it. Maybe he did. But they're in a room without the roller coaster, and it's like swinging, and they're arguing, and it's a roller coaster. It's not.
Yeah, with the little book in the bookcase, which again, a nice little trope within Scooby-Doo. I would have liked them to have made that book really super obvious, like the original 1970s-ish cartoons.
Oh, it's this one.
Tell it's going to move. Yeah. Yeah. I it was the good balance of being dumb but Scooby-Doo dumb. The storyline is allowed to be silly, and it was. I think Rowan Atkinson as the main potential bad guy is very funny. Honestly, this is going to insult you more than I think it probably should. But at the beginning, when the first year Rowan Atkinson, he's running the island, it's like, oh, you seem less spooky than you should. He's like, oh, you wouldn't want to run into me on a bad night. I, for some reason, instantly pictured you. Like, for some reason, that's just, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Thanks. Yeah. So the gang end up on the spooky island. I just need to throw out that at one point Scooby-Doo has to dress up as a grandma to get on a plane, and somebody wolf whistles him while he's walking through the airport. They meet Mr. Bean, who's cool, too cool, but not at all sus, but definitely sus. And at one point the gang declare that they have 3 suspects and tell him to his face that he's one of them. That doesn't seem like a smart strategy, if I'm honest with you. But whatever. At one point they start getting possessed. Various cast members get possessed, and Velma gets possessed. And you know what the first thing the monsters do when they have like possession of her body? Take off her sweater to reveal the cleavage. It's like, you guys are bloody perverts, quite frankly. And you know what she does? The very next scene that she gets her body back, sweater back on. Incredible.
I assume it's just to like differentiate this is her possessed and not possessed, but yeah, it was a weird choice.
Yeah, boobs out straight away, glasses off, and then
this led to my biggest note, and I kind of discussed this before the recording. Obviously, there's a bit of comedy where the possessions get mixed up. So Fred ends up in Daphne's body, Daphne in Fred's body. Fred's first thing is I can see myself naked, which again,
it's mostly boob jokes and stuff. Like I'm gonna touch myself.
Yeah, which I'm not a big fan of. But I do want to point out that the voice dubbing in this, why is it better than Madame Web was at the beginning of this year, 20 years ago?
It's pretty good.
Honestly not bad. Why is it better 2 decades ago?
Yeah.
Like, it makes no sense.
It was so sloppy in Madame Web, honestly. They weren't even trying. It's like they were watching they were listening to it while watching it on the smallest phone screen from like 15 years ago. So they couldn't actually see the mouth moving in Madame Web, and they're like, yeah, that'll do.
Yeah.
And then we put it on the big screen, and it's just...
Yeah. It's... But again, props to Scooby-Doo for getting it right, for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, if you design a scene specifically to do that, you're probably going to try... Well, you'd hope they try regardless, but you're probably going to, like...
push to make sure it's right.
Yeah. And then just the main plan of the film, we were talking about this recently in a different film where I don't quite understand the plot of why the codex in Venom would be created and why it would unlock Null and stuff. The main plan that Scrappy-Doo needs is he needs to sacrifice a bunch of souls and a pure soul, and that pure soul is Scooby-Doo. I'm going to stop you right there.
Obviously.
Because I don't believe Scooby-Doo is a pure soul. Gluttony?
Okay,
hello?
Okay, so we're bringing in, like, now sort of religious persecution into this franchise. So ghosts and monsters are real, and... Okay, we're not saying that God is or isn't real, don't come at me. But now this as well. To be fair, it now actually fits with the Supernatural franchise where there's a crossover, so I'll accept it. It's now canon.
I do enjoy the massive roid belly that Scrappy-Doo does get, though, once he's devoured all of those souls and he gets jacked. He's got the big old fat roid belly that... Like, too many souls, not enough legit reps in the gym there, Scrappy-Doo. You've taken shortcuts. And, it's not working.
I want to argue with you for different reasons, but it's not working.
But yeah, this film
Silly
is
film.
It's
nostalgia as well, though.
Kind of hate it. I kind of hated it previously, and I've kind of loved it as well.
Good.
Like it's one of those films that just rides that line of like, oh my god, this scene is bad. This scene's pretty good though.
Yeah, but like it's bad, but it's Scooby-Doo, so it's supposed to be bad. It's not like they did it badly.
Yeah.
I think even the tongue-in-cheek stupid jokes that could have been better are done on purpose that way. Like they can get away with it.
Yeah,
they do.
Yeah.
Like,
I just think I reckon there's a slightly better casting available. I don't know. Like I don't know. I just feel like the Fred and Daphne didn't quite nail it for me, and kind of it's a weak point.
The thing is, they were chosen by the director, and originally Freddie Prinze Jr. didn't do it, but Sarah Michelle Gellar was into it, and there were a couple at the time, so she kind of like bullied him into it. And originally, apparently, the thought process was that they wouldn't be able to do it justice in live action. I love the idea that Freddie Prinze Jr. is also a fan. I was like, no, I can't live up to this. If I can't do it right, I won't do it at all. But I think they did it great. Like, they may not be perfect. It's not the sort of casting where, like, Hugh Jackman for Wolverine, there's no one else who can do it. But it's not bad enough to ruin the film for me, and I think they're okay at it, and especially when you see them again in the second movie, I'm okay with it. So yeah, not talking bad about this film.
Never. I'm giving it a thumbs up.
Yeah, 100% a thumbs up. I love it. So nothing else I can do.
Yeah, honestly, any film that will put Scrappy-Doo as the villain is genius in my absolutely. So yeah, anything else to add?
Yeah, I want to put a little bit of a quiz on you, as you've done in the past for the.
Oh no! All right, hit me with this quiz.
So this is one of the few times in the entire 40-50 year of Scooby-Doo where you hear the first names of Scooby and Shaggy. What is Scooby's real first name?
Isn't one of them's called Cornelius or something like that? Is that Scrappy?
I feel
Scrappy Cornelius.
I think that's part of yeah.
Oh, wait. So Scooby-Doo's not his real first name. That's it.
No, Scooby is a nickname.
I don't know. I simply don't know.
You want to know?
Of course I want to know.
Scoobert.
Shut up.
And do you know Shaggy's first name? I don't know, I'll buy you a pint if you actually get this.
I mean, I don't know, so I won't be getting this pint.
You're never going to get it.
I'll do a guess. Shagafer.
I love that, but no. Norville.
What? This was mentioned in the film? What, verbally?
Yeah. It's definitely written down.
Oh, that doesn't count. I probably was making a.
It's verbal in.
Is it on a passport or something? In the.
No, the letter that he's given to get the invite. It's definitely on there. I think it might be mentioned and like once verbally, but it's definitely on there. And like I say, it's mentioned verbally.
Okay.
I saw them back to back, baby.
Right. I'm googling Scrappy-Doo's name.
Okay, this is great content.
Yes, it is. Scrappy-Doo full name.
Yeah,
Cornelius Doo. I'm taking it.
Okay. Fine.
That's 1 out of 3.
Still getting a pint.
Even though that wasn't a question, I'm still giving myself a point.
Fair.
Any more questions?
Okay.
Oh.
No, I think we're good. I think you need to finish this episode and go watch the next film.
Okay, we'll see you next Halloween, everybody. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Like I say, we are on Spotify if you wish to listen to us instead of watching us. And leave a like, subscribe should you wish to. And we'll see you in the next one, which I promise you won't be so scary and so spooky, McBeardy. I know you struggle with horror films.
I know, right? I'm scary, sorry.
Thank you so much, everybody. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.